Hey, everybody, it's Lou Santiago, and tonight we've got another fantastic show for you. It's Tavarish, aka Freddie Hernandez. You know what? It's going to be a good time because this guy does cars that I don't do, and I know very little about. I'm not going to say nothing, but very, very little. Like this guy puts together Ferraris and Lamborghinis and McLarens and all that wacky high end stuff. And that is something that I don't mess with because my whole idea would be let's just cut the thing up and put a tube chassis in it, make it rear wheel drive. Let's do that. We'll do something stupid. So here's the deal. We are going to go take a break. We're going to come back with John. Me and John are going to annoy some people and they'll tell us that we upset them and they're going to leave because that's the world we live in today. And then we're going to get Freddie in here. Hit it, Ken. What you need to do is check out DEI, Design Engineering Incorporated. They keep the heat out so you're not sweating to death. Check them out.
Yo.
Hey!
You're frozen. Why are you frozen? There you go.
I'm not frozen. I was just sitting. I wasn't moving.
On my end, you look like you were frozen.
I was leaning back in the chair, cooling out. That's what I was doing.
I still laugh at that intro every time it's on. We act like two jackasses on here. For real. So what do you got? Where are we going? What we doing? What's happening?
Man. So I right before when I was drinking my coffee, because I made it earlier. When I was drinking my coffee, I saw this video with Colin Noir. I guess that's how you say his name. I'm not really sure. He's a gun guy, weapons, big Second Amendment supporter, and he was saying something that I found very odd. The CDC is going to spend tax dollars on researching the epidemic of gun violence.
What's that got to do with that?
Well, you see, you got to understand something. The CDC, whoever's in charge of it, they don't have to go through the process like, say, a Supreme Court justice would. They don't have to sit in front of the Congress or the Senate and then get voted on. You can just say, hey, John, you want to be in charge of the CDC? And you can say yes.
Yeah. Ready to go.
Yeah. So, basically, she knows Joe, I'm sure. So she's gonna sink our money into the epidemic of gun violence, which I don't know. I'm not gonna get too deep into that rabbit hole, but I just think it's a waste of money. We're already in debt.
The world is crazy. They just, on top of that, they announced no Russian guns, no Russian ammunition to be sold here in the United States. They're cutting that back. So whatever. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, sooner or later, something's going to happen. I don't know what we can do about it or what, but it's that the world is crazy. The last couple of weeks with Afghanistan and all is just nutty. And the thing is, I don't know what to believe. You see stuff come across, you're like, you know what? Did it happen? Did they leave the dogs? Did they bring the dogs? Whatever.
I heard the Brits took the dogs.
Yeah, I heard those rescue people that are going in.
179 dogs. They just had them in kennels and left. And I heard that the Brits took them. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard.
Last thing, let's see, that's what I'm saying. Last thing I heard, somebody went in that hangar, let all those dogs loose. They were trying to gather them up. They called people over there to try to help gather 100 and some dogs. And then they decided, Taliban decided, they're trained. They don't know who their master is. We're going to use them for what they were using them for because they inherited all this military equipment. They inherited the dogs. Although over there, they don't appreciate dogs. They're not like we treat them here. I mean, they rank. Everybody ranks over there. Everybody here is supposed to be equal. Over there, they rank. Hey, but whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just, it doesn't.
It is what it is. I just, the president was on the other day. What got me is Trump's fault. I had to do this. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Second thing is, it was a success. Okay, that contradicts. It's his fault, and it was a fiasco, but yet it was successful. Do you acknowledge the success and give it to Trump? Which one is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. There was two different messages there, which is a career politician talking out both sides of his ass. That's basically what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
I'm covering this side in case it's bad, this side. So anybody that wants to argue online has both sides of an argument. So it keeps everybody
Right.
divided, keeps everybody talking smack about each other. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
It really
But you
is.
know what gets me? You know what gets me, John, is how some of these people, like right now, I'm sure there's people. I'm sure there's people going, "Oh, I don't want to watch this. There's Trump support, blah blah blah. I can't. This guy was an asshole. You're an asshole. You're a racist." It's like, dude, you can't have an opinion anymore. That's what gets me.
No, that's exactly it. You can't think differently to other people, or we're being divided. And that's how you
Oh yeah,
conquer. You divide
yeah,
everybody, call them a name, they're this, they're that, whatever, Lou. I don't
yeah,
want to go too long on that
yeah.
because it's depressing. It
We're
really
not.
is.
We're
What
not. Check this
what
out.
I
I gotta show you.
last night we were going back and forth. You got bananas? Yeah, there you go.
I'm
Right?
gonna make this.
That sums it
Can you
up.
get a screenshot of that? I want it to be my face for the whole show.
Last night, Will Lockwood from Bitchin' Rides is coming on the 22nd of this month.
So I got a Will story. I got a Will
I know
story.
you do. Yeah, you
You're gonna
bootleg
love
for
this.
him, I heard.
Yes, yes.
Save it. Save it. Save it because it is a good story. It is. It's like a Smokey and the Bandit, but with Lou running across
And I
state
was
lines.
in a Scion XB.
Yeah. You need a speedy car, speedier than that, but they didn't hear that part.
I went in a car that just flew under the radar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
way you got to do it. You
Yeah.
don't get something that's going to advertise. You get
Don't
something
ruin the
that cops are
story.
going to run up behind you. They're going to go around you. You wave, they wave back. They think you're harmless.
Yeah. Don't ruin the story because, tell it there because he was waiting for the beer when you arrived. I was there when
Oh
we
yeah,
delivered it.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
the
actually,
funny thing was, is I was standing there. I was going. We're waiting. Me and Tina and I were waiting to go to SEMA. So I called Will. I was like, dude, I got your stuff. And he goes, well, I'll come get it. So I said, well, I can meet you and I'll just ride with you to SEMA. She's like, yeah, cool.
yeah.
So me and Tina are standing outside in front of the hotel and we're right on the main drag.
Yeah.
And this homeless guy comes up to us. His jeans were so dirty, they were shiny. That's how bad they were.
That's
And
bad.
he had puke all in his beard. And his beard came down to at least his nipples. And he stops and he turns right in front of me. And I'm standing there with the beer between my legs, And he goes, hey, man, can I have a beer? I was like, get the fuck out of here. And he just looked at me. And he goes, no, really? Can I have a beer? Like, no, get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
So you were being nice to him.
No, I was even nice to him. No. I
Next
lived in
week
my
we
car
got
for a year. You can get a job. You know what I mean? I got no sympathy for that.
next week.
All right, so look,
Eddie Munster. Hold on.
Next week
Eddie
is I
Munster's
know. And next week is Eddie Munster.
I have to go see him on Friday. He's doing Dead Man's Curve in New Jersey. I'm going to run up and check it out, talk to him, and see what's doing. So, and I don't know if you saw, but Tory is locking down Paul Sr. for the 29th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Faye comes on in between Eddie Munster and Will Lockwood.
Yeah, Faye's
from All
on.
Girls Garage.
Isn't
It's a good month.
Faye's the next week after
Eddie.
After Eddie. Yeah. Okay.
It's a good month. That's a pretty good lineup, especially if we lock down and solidify Paul Sr. because I want to hear his half of the story. We had Junior on. I want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
We may have to put him in a headlock, but we'll see what happens.
Why not? We can see what's going on. That's why
we talked about that before.
Yeah.
If somebody gives us a hard
here for
time.
that reason, to just find out what's going on because we're nosy. We're nosy like that.
Yeah, I hear he's in Florida now, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
We'll find out. We'll find out where he's in Florida. Maybe we'll go visit him. I don't know. We'll figure something out. I ain't sweating it. We're good to go.
I think Freddie lives in Florida. Maybe he knows.
Yeah, I believe he's in Florida. I don't know where though. I don't know where. So
That's a
what's the
small.
deal with Joseph A. Banks? Are you buying custom shirts now? I mean, I'm
Yeah, I
trying to
told
figure
you.
that out.
You want to hear what happened?
Tell me what happened, because make it quick because we got to get
I
moving.
will. I'll talk fast. My buddy Chris's daughter's getting married on the weekend. My niece Katie's here actually in the other room because she's in the wedding. So
Yeah,
I got 2 new suits because I tried my suits on. They look like shit. So I got 2 new ones.
because you're fat.
So
Yeah, did I say that out
on
loud?
top of that, yeah, they're just dated. It's been 10 years since I put on a suit. I'd be the old guy with an old suit. I'd look bad. So I had to get 2 new suits. So I needed a shirt to go with the suit. So I went around, everybody's telling me, can't get a shirt, can't get a shirt. Joseph A. Banks, guy says, listen, you're not going to fit the shirt, just like everybody else said. He says, you're going to float it. He goes, but I'll make you 3 of them because they were running a special. They'll make you the shirt. So the guy sizes me up the whole thing. He said, take about 3 or 4 weeks for them to come in. So they come in. He goes, you want to try them on? Because I grab them. He goes, okay, thanks. And then he says, you want to try them on? I said, yeah, I'll try them on. Put my arm through the sleeve. Lou, if I would have bent my arm, I would have ripped it like the Incredible Hulk. It was so far off. It was like they messed this thing totally up. I'm like, my man, listen, I got like a week and a half. It took you over 5 weeks to get me these shirts. So he goes, no, try to. He's trying to sell me the shirt that I can't even move in. So I go to button the thing. It's about 6 inches. This is as close as I could get it. I'm like, and I'm ready to just go, and rip this thing. So I pull it off. I'm laughing. I'm like, it wasn't even close. So he's, oh, I'm sorry. So they actually went out of their way, got a shirt that was close in size and tailored it up, fitted it.
Yeah.
So I picked up the other shirt today, but I was like in a panic going, no, now what am I going to do? Because I got to run around. I got a 19 and a half inch neck. Can't tell from here. See how big I am?
Looks more like a 20, but that's okay.
So anyhow, they did make good on it. They did. There he is.
No, that's when he was 20.
Yeah, I was actually about 28 or somewhere in there. I don't know how old I was, but that's a long time ago. How much hair I had. That's the whole thing. So anyhow, they made good on these shirts. I picked it up and we're all good. I'm ready to go. It's close. It's not like a great fit, but it's as good as you're going to get for what they were doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell you something. I got a Hong Kong story.
Yeah, Hong Kong?
I was in Hong Kong and I wanted to get a shirt made, right? Because that's what you do in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So I go in there and I tell the guy, look, man, I want a shirt. And I find it was yellow. I had it made in this like really bright, obnoxious yellow, and had it made down to about mid-thigh with a big pocket in the back. And the guy goes, I go, when can you have it done? He goes, you come back tonight. You come back midnight tonight, it'll be done. I was like, cool. This is like 8 o'clock in the evening. For a jet over, of course we're out drinking. So we go back to the tailor shop, and the shirt's awesome. I mean, like it's a really well done shirt. And so I take off my t-shirt, give the guy my t-shirt, pay him, put on the yellow shirt. I had the shirt for like 5 years, wore it all night.
What's with the big pocket? I don't understand the big pocket.
No reason. It was tailor-made.
Somebody put a tip in there. Why not, right? All right, we clowned around enough. Bring out Freddie. Do your thing.
All right, let's go to a commercial. When we come back, we're getting Freddie out here. Come on, Ken, let's get this ball rolling.
For more than 25 years, DEI has been controlling heat and sound, all with products developed to protect components and drivers alike, and has become the standard by which all heat and sound control is measured. Each product is developed with solutions to problems in mind. DEI knows when it comes to making and keeping horsepower, heat is the enemy. Innovative technology allows us to develop the highest quality products, quality driven, and that's why the best builders and race teams in the world use DEI.
There he is.
How are you?
Hey!
How you doing?
What's happening, man?
Nothing much. It's really interesting that you have DEI as a sponsor because a little meme on the internet about me is actually including DEI because I used a lot of it on my Lamborghini Gallardo build. And so much, in fact, that people call it Tavarish tape, like that gold foil stuff. Like it's so crazy. Yeah. And DEI actually saw that and they sent me like a care package full of stuff. It's like offcuts of their stuff, but it's I love using their products.
Yeah,
what you need to do is get them to put your face on one of the packages and call it Tavarish tape.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to have a line that sells nothing, then sure. Yeah, like if nobody buys it, that'd be fine.
It has a little bit of a nice round rhyme to it. Good name. Why not? Yeah, their thing I think is they sell just the sections that you put on the floor that's needed. Like most people, they cover the entire floor, but their thing is just the sections where the heat and the sound is, without adding a bunch of weight. That's I think the biggest difference.
Yeah, so I use it for like engine based stuff. So I love their gold foil because I pretend that I can afford a McLaren F1 when I clearly can't. So I just put it all over the engine bay. So I'm like, McLaren F1 has a gold engine bay. Now I do too.
Huh. There you go. There you go. So, dude,
Freddie,
all right, let me before John gets in like to the whole history of Tavarish or Freddie.
Oh boy.
Let's just. I got one question for you, right? Eugene Moon. He told me that you're Russian. Okay, so he told me. So my big question for you is, can you get me some good Russian vodka, or is it all just cheap?
What's interesting is like, I'm Russian. I was born in Russia, essentially the Soviet Union back then, but I know nothing about Russian vodka. I know nothing about a lot of stuff that I probably should know. Like, I'm not a big drinker, but I could probably like get you some good like vodka or whatever they drink. It doesn't
have to be really good.
Sure. I mean, listen, I don't know the difference. So, if I give you something and it's crap, like you could just be nice to me and say, oh, this is really good.
Oh, no, I would drink it. As long as it doesn't have antifreeze in it. I drink it.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't think it has antifreeze in it. I mean, I could put antifreeze in it if you want. I don't know how you party.
No. I drank Aqua Velvet lemonade one time. It's not good for you.
Okay.
That's a military story, I guarantee it. See what I was saying backstage? I said, you let him go. He's going to start talking military back in 67.
That sounds like you're making prison wine.
Pretty much.
It's toilet water. It's toilet
That's
water.
Right. Yeah.
Belly wash.
Oh, the toilet. Yep.
Belly wash. So for people that don't know, because our audience may be different than your audience, explain how, who, what you do, and your page, so that they can.
I run a YouTube channel called Tavarish. My name is Freddie Hernandez. And I buy and modify and restore and generally just talk about really cool cars that I find interesting. It doesn't matter if they're high dollar or just really cheap. I like, eclectic stuff. I'm not really into like brand loyalty. Like I'll just buy anything that kind of strikes my fancy. And then I modify them, I repair them, and then I don't really sell them that much because I'm a horrible salesperson. But I like to keep them and then just enjoy them and have different car experiences.
That's awesome.
So how'd you get started in that?
To do with supercars, man.
Yeah.
So I got started because I was a automotive journalist for a little while. I was writing for Jalopnik and then later on Haggerty. And honestly, I just wanted into that world. It's a really, really awesome world. And you realize how small the world is. So, everybody kind of knows everybody. I mean, I've been watching Lou since I don't want to have this sound weird for you, but like, since I was a kid, I was, I knew exactly who you were and I was super excited. So like, I just wanted some kind of foothold in this. And through journalism, I went to YouTube because I figured, hey, I see other people doing it. Why not me? I could do it. I have a camera. I can put myself in these situations where I have to either vlog or just present in a way where people might find it interesting a little bit. But then the supercar stuff came because I wanted to take more and more like chances with my channel because, the growth was stagnating a little bit. But then my first supercar was a Lamborghini Gallardo that I bought it was a fire damaged car. And it had twin turbos, and it was this really, really cool car. And I ended up rebuilding it in my 2-car garage here at home. And that kind of was a first like explosion of my channel. Like it really kind of picked up steam after that. Yeah.
So tell us more about that build. Where'd you get it? What happened? How long did it take? And why and how much? Because that had to be an expensive turnaround. That's not an easy build. Is that the one?
No, so that's actually the second one. The first one was a Lamborghini Gallardo, which is like kind of the baby Lambo. Like it didn't have the scissor doors or anything like that. But it's the one that is like if you're starting, it's a starter Lambo. But it was still pretty cool. It's a V10 stock. It had around 520 horsepower. Mine was a Spider, and it was a gated manual, which made it super, super rare. I think they only made like 80 of them.
Yeah.
But the guy that I bought it from, I actually got it from like some salvage auction. But the guy that owned it before, he had a modification shop that, surprise, surprise, didn't really know how to modify cars. And he wanted to do like a built engine and twin turbos and all this stuff because he was like a big Gold Rush Rally guy. And if people don't know what Gold Rush Rally is, it's basically just like a rally where people go and show how rich they are. So I got that car because it was on fire. There was like some gas leak at a gas pump, and I don't know how it didn't explode, but it just caused some mechanical damage. It caused some cosmetic damage, and I ended up like rebuilding everything. I mean, the turbo kit that was on there was complete garbage. So I took everything out. I did a complete custom job to the turbo kit, took the engine out, redid everything that I could, wiring, engine management, just like made the car as good as it can be. And I mean, still the car has some odds and ends that aren't great. The clutch probably needs like I need a new clutch for it. It doesn't really run all that great. But right now the car is as good as it can be for now.
Right.
Huh.
That's cool.
So back
John,
up.
go ahead with your question.
We got a giant transition from Russia to doing a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Try to hop, skip, jump. And my first question, when I'm listening here is, how the hell did you figure out and learn that shit to do a Lamborghini? Did you just jump in? Did you go buy tools? I mean, you were a writer. It isn't like you were a technician somewhere. What happened there?
So when I started writing, I wrote about cars that I would work on. So I initially started working in my parents' driveway. I would work on my first car, which was a Nissan Maxima, and I cut my teeth on that. I did an engine swap on that. I did a manual conversion on that, and then just did everything that I could modify to make it a little bit more of my own. That's what I did. And then I wrote about my experiences there. Like I would buy and kind of flip cars every once in a while. And then I made a series called Art of the Flip on Jalopnik, and that actually did pretty well. So based on that, I said, well, maybe I could do something like this, but on a YouTube scale. And then, that seemed to have worked out. But the Russia part was interesting because, my parents came here when I was 3. So this would have been 1990, 91. And that was when the Soviet Union was just like coming apart at the seams. So, we had probably $200 in our pocket, like my parents did. We lived in the projects when we came here, and my dad like cleaned toilets. My mom became like a bank teller, and now we're a little bit better in that they became middle class, and I just I have the opportunities that I have now. That's one of the reasons why. Like I was just talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. It's like, say what you want about the country, and if it's it has every country has flaws, but I mean you have so much opportunity here if you're willing to work for it. And obviously there's a bit of luck there too, but I just really enjoy the ride that I've been on.
For real,
That's
right?
awesome.
I mean, people do complain and don't know how good they got it. When you watch some of the stuff overseas, where they're lopping people's heads off in the streets and talking about it, you think to yourself, come on, you can complain about a mask, or you can complain about this and that.
Yeah.
And people get, when I hear people talk that way, I think to myself, you know what the problem is? You don't have any problems.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard to say that because you're not, you have to empathize with people because even if you have like Jeff Bezos has bad days, he has, $100 billion, but he has bad days too. There's times where I'm sure he's feeling, depressed or whatever. I'm sure that happens. But, on the scale of things to worry about, like, oh, they're cutting all our heads off. That's not something that people in this country have to worry about. And what people in other countries know on a daily basis is like, that is sort of the default mode of humanity. Like a lot of countries just have, there's no freedom of speech, there's no freedom of assembly, freedom of protecting yourself, that sort of thing. I don't want to get too political here, but it's just people need to know that there's no like underlying freedom that we have if that leaves, then that's it. Like you don't have like you can just legislate all that freedom away. So I'm really just I love what I do, and I love that I'm in a time and place where all this can flourish, and I can share it with everybody. That I share it with.
Listen, we had a few people, surprisingly, that came to this country, same thing. We had Shorty from Iron Resurrection, told a great story of coming to this country, what it took and what it felt like to actually come to America when he was a kid. I mean, him and his family were just amazed. Ralph from RMD Garage, same story, same thing, coming from Mexico. I don't think people understand the opportunity, the upside. We skip over it and take it for granted. Like, no big deal, no big deal. But a lot of people come here and done really well and are happy. I said, I mean, Lou and I talked during the week, and I'll be complaining about, the guy was here doing my cable, this, that, the other thing. And I'll tell him, you know what I got? I got white people problems, because they're not really problems. You know what I mean? It's something I'm bitching about because there is nothing this week for me to bitch about.
Right.
But I'm with you. But back to, so you come to Russia when you're 3 and you start writing when you're a young dude on the cars. So the only tech is actually self-taught and in the driveway.
Yeah.
You go from, was it Nissan Maxima you said, to a Lambo. How do you make that jump?
Well, there's a few things in between. So, I always loved having a lot for a little. So I started going after cars that are heavily depreciated. And one of my favorite cars is the Mercedes S-Class. So I got a Mercedes like S500, like a 2000. I ended up buying it for like $2,900 and fixing it. And that was my daily driver for a while. And I love that car. I mean, it had, I ended up changing the interior to something that had massaging seats in the back, all this really, really cool stuff. And then from there, I became the guy that was like, why would you buy a Toyota Camry when you can buy a V12 Mercedes for the same money? And obviously there's differences in, running costs and operational stuff. And I get that. But I was the guy that showed people that you can dream, it's okay. You don't have to buy this Econobox because it's safe. There are other cars that are fun that you can if you mitigate a few of these factors, they're actually not that bad. My daily driver right now is a 2015 S65. It's a V12 with twin turbos. It was $200 something thousand when it was new, and I bought it super depreciated. I mean, it's a cost of an SUV right now, and I love it. Right. I mean, it's crazy fast, and it's the best place to be in traffic, and it sounds great, and I love
it. Well, when you stop and think about it, man, you're doing it smart, because the pool of people who can buy those kinds of cars for that kind of stupid money, that's not a big pool. But there are also the people who don't appreciate cars. There are also the people who are going to go out and usually wreck it because they were showing off and they thought they knew how to drive. So you pick it up cheap, and if you have the knowledge, or you're willing to learn how to put the thing together and fix it, you're better off. I mean, really, I mean, at the end of the day, if you fix it right, who cares if it's got a salvage title, as long as you fixed it right? That's how I look at it,
Yeah. And it's the same thing. I mean, I didn't get the S65 was just it wasn't a salvage title. It was just depreciated regularly. It was just a regular used car. But most of the McLaren that I'm building now, I'm actually building that for SEMA. It was wrecked in so many ways. It was hit in the back and the front, has carbon damage, had engine damage. It literally had every sort of damage you can get on a car, short of fire or flood. And we brought that back to a point where, now I'm just putting everything back together, and it's going to be at SEMA, and it's going to look, amazing. And I have this crazy, custom interior for it. And the outside is going to look it's going to look like a $500,000 car. So that's what I like to put out there, even if it's not a money saving thing, because if I tally how much money I have into this car, I could have just bought a used one. It's that much. But it's also, I wouldn't have learned how these things go together. I wouldn't have learned how, to take a frame off of McLaren and then, do some carbon repair and, that sort of stuff. I think that stuff is just, super fun to learn.
Well, and not only that, it's value. It has value, because now you can transfer you can transfer that carbon repair stuff to other things. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So it's a huge thing, and it works. And so, what are you just bringing the McLaren to SEMA, or are you bringing something else with it?
Yeah. So I'm going to bring the McLaren to SEMA. I was planning on doing a few other cars, but as SEMA crunch time rolls around, it's like, yeah, we need to get this done, and I don't think I can do anything else. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, the McLaren's going to be plenty, especially for a person that doesn't have a team working. You know, it's just me, and then occasionally my friend Jared, who you had on your show. So, you know,
Right.
it's just it's fun putting it together, but it's also now is like real like crunch time, which I've done before with my Lamborghini, the orange Lamborghini that you had on screen before. That one went to SEMA. Yeah, that one right there. So that one went
Right.
to SEMA in 2019, the last time we had SEMA, and that was a crazy crunch as well.
Tell us about
Right.
that build.
Right.
Tell us the backstory of that car.
So I initially got that from a guy you had in the show, Dennis McCarthy. So the guy at Vehicle Effects. So I bought that it was a hero car, it's a movie car from Fast and Furious 8, The Fate of the Furious. And this was the car that Tyrese drove on the ice. And I was super excited because I've never had a Lamborghini like this. I mean, this is like the big boy Lambo V12 and the doors go up and all that really cool stuff. But, you know, this car was also really neglected. I mean, they painted this thing in a parking lot. It had a roll cage in it that was rusting. It ran really poorly. It sounded like garbage. So I ended up taking it down to bare metal. I mean, it was a complete restoration, you know, nuts and bolts. And now, you know, that car is in the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA, you know, for their supercar and hypercar
Really?
exhibit. So yeah, that was crazy. Like that's nuts. Yeah, there it is at SEMA.
It is.
So that's one
That's
of one,
awesome.
and that's a real movie car.
Yeah, it's a real movie car. I have a ton of movie car memorabilia. I actually just bought the sister car because they had 3 cars in that movie, 3 real Lamborghinis. So I just bought the
Yeah.
sister stunt car, and that car's in the UK being shipped over right now. And that car's in even worse shape. But I'll put that one together, you know, because I want to have the set, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the guys in the comments, I'm going off the rails here. One of the guys in the comments wanted to know when you're going to finish the Supra, the Lotus, or the Bentley. Wanted to pick
So
one.
the Supra is done. The Supra, I've already finished it. The Lotus is on my Wrench Every Day channel, and that is I have a Lotus Esprit Turbo SE, like the Pretty Woman car, not the actual movie car, but you know, one that looks like it. And that's getting put together in the next, I'd say, month or so. It's just we've been super backed up. I have this show called Car Trek that I do with Tyler Hoover and Ed Bolian, and it's sort of like a Top Gear ish style show, and we're doing our 5th series actually next week, and you know we're shooting the 6th series at the end of the month, so it's just you know putting everything back. And the Bentley I finished quite a while ago. I finished it and then I sold it. I actually traded it for a Porsche 911. So
So
yeah,
whoever sent that clearly isn't paying attention.
Maybe, but then again, I do put out, like, I have a lot of cars, dude. I have like 25 cars, so I'm not.
Yeah, you're
like,
not selling anything, are you?
Yeah, no, absolutely
you
not.
had your Benz. You got a Benz that you got for sale now.
You know
Yeah.
what,
So that was my old car. Yeah.
Dream, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Dream. That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how the name Tavarish came about and what that means.
So Tavarish, actually, it's phonetically incorrect. Tavarish in Russian means like comrade or friend or like dude, you know, that sort of thing. So I came up with that when I was 12 as a screen name, and I never came up with anything more clever, so it just stuck. And that's about it. I wish there was like some interesting story, but I was like, yeah, it's just a screen name when I came up with when I was a teenager, and I was like, yeah, that's gonna be it.
Yeah, why not, right? If it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So you went from the Lambo that caught fire.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're building from there. You said your YouTube took off or started to ramp up when you did that build. I'm guessing that was over several episodes or probably close to a year to build. How long did it take you to build?
Yeah. So that first build was about 9 months. So it's literally a baby. Like it's just, you from start to finish. But then I learned a lot. I learned what I was doing wrong, what I was doing right. And then that went into my next big build, which was the the orange Lamborghini Murcielago from Fast and Furious, and then after that I did the McLaren. But in between there, I did a bunch of like really small stuff. Like Jared and I, we rebuilt this SCCA World Challenge winning car, this Camaro that I found out in some parking lot, and we took it on a racetrack like for its kind of final run. I found a Pimp My Ride minivan that was rotting.
God.
Yeah, like it was rotting in some shop in Rhode Island, and I ended up buying it for like $850. And that transformation, it got #1 trending on YouTube, and it did like that series of 3 videos got somewhere like 23 million views, which was like I thought it would do garbage. Like I was like, nobody's gonna watch this, but apparently it was like my best performing series ever. So it's not just like the really expensive stuff that does well. It's also just the eclectic, the really cool, the really the stuff that gives people a knowledge gap that they want to be, that they're just curious about.
Right.
So I was watching some of the Car Trek. I'll tell you what, the production looks pretty good on it. I was asking myself, who is doing your production? Is that you? And did you just pick this up and grow from there? How's that working out?
So we have a small crew, and they've been with us for since the beginning. Right now, our crew, including us, it's like 9 people, and we only have, up to now, we have 1 guy editing. Like I edited the first. Me and 2 other people, but like I did the editing sort of direction in the first series of I believe it was 7 or 8 episodes. But then the next 5 series, we had another guy who was actually like, he's quite accomplished. He had Emmys for Deadliest Catch and Ice Road Truckers, that sort of thing. So he had, he knows how to make a storyline work. And then, we just like, we're still working on just a regular car with like a car rig, like with suction cups attached. We're not doing any sort of like TV production. This is all cameras that we use. Just like they use the same cameras that I use on YouTube, so it's just, we try to do as much as we can with the smallest amount of budget, because our budget is probably like the entire series is probably 1/20th of a budget of 1 episode of like Top Gear or Grand Tour. So it's like, we're not really paying ourselves. It's just, we love doing it and we want to take it to the next level. But
you own that content. That's yours. You're the guy behind it.
Okay. So it's me and Tyler Hoover and Ed Bullion. We all own it, and it's our personal kind of labor of love.
Okay. How'd that come about? How did that series come about? Whose idea? Tell us about that, because that's fairly new, right? 5 shows?
Yeah. So we've had 6. Well, now we're going into our 6th series. But we just started a little over a year ago, and it was during a conversation with me and Ed Bullion, and actually Jared was there as well. Right when I was there with my Pimp My Ride van, because I went to go visit him, and we started talking like, hey, we should make like a show that's reminiscent of like old Top Gear, because I think that they left a big vacuum in their wake. Top Gear and Grand Tour, they're like these huge shows. But I think that there's something missing for, the lower, even though they were still really big shows back in, 05 and 06, I think there was a heyday that people really liked when they looked at like cheap cars, or at least like it was more about like the camaraderie, or they were working a lot of things out and you can tell that it wasn't perfect. I think that's what we were trying to go for, because we obviously can't compete with them now, and I don't think we'd want to, because we want to put like our own sort of style on it. So we started from there just as a conversation, and we decided that we wanted Tyler Hoover on board, because Tyler is just an awesome guy, and he's like he's Ed's more of a straight man. Tyler's a funny man. And I don't know what that makes me. Maybe I'm just a third wheel. But I think the dynamic really makes sense.
It does. It works really well. I mean, there is balance there. It's pretty good. I was actually surprised. I was telling Ken that you met earlier before the show. I said the production and everything about it's really good.
Cool.
I mean, Lou turned me on to you guys, I don't know, 2 months ago. And I've been trying to catch up. I mean, honestly, I got so much, and
he's behind the power curve. It's okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've been busy traveling a bunch too, so I've been.
Well, the good thing about YouTube is that it's always there, so you can watch it whenever you want.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, John didn't know about YouTube till I showed it to him.
I didn't. That's brand new. Now, Jared was on last week. He said you guys met, I think, in a gas station, if I remember correctly. How'd that all come about?
Yeah. So we actually met. I mean, the first time we met when he was picking me up so we can do like this 2,000-mile road rally. So I needed it's a weird story, but like I'll just give you the Cliff's notes. I needed a cylinder head for a Supra I was building, and I went on Supra forums. I wanted this super big forum for Toyota Supras, and he was selling some parts, and I got in touch with him, and turns out he was very, very helpful. He wanted to help with the build. We wanted to do some promotional stuff with his company Speed for Sale at the time, but then that fell through. But he was still like he was text messaging me, and he was asking me how the build was progressing. And then I wanted to go on this thing called the Dust Ball Rally, which is just this really cool road rally on the best driving roads in America. And I didn't have anybody to go with. Like one of my friends, they backed out at the last minute. So I asked Jared, I didn't know him at all. I just said, hey, do you have a car and can you drive? And he was like, yeah, I have like a right-hand drive Toyota Supra and I have a Lexus ISF. And I'm like, yeah, let's just do this. Like, let's just go. Like, let's see what happens. So I went to Atlanta and I did some stuff with Ed Bullion. And then like afterwards, I met him because he's in the Atlanta area. And I mean, the first time we met was, him picking me up in his Lexus ISF at probably 4 or 5 in the morning, and then us driving up to New Jersey to my parents' place where we spent the night before we did the road rally, which was like Boston to New Orleans. So, thankfully we didn't like kill each other because, we actually got along very well. And then that turned into him coming, by my shop. We did a Supra build that now has nearly 8 million views. And then now he's just like a mainstay in my shop. And then now we partner on a channel together on the Wrench Everyday channel. So, I mean, he's just the best guy. He's just, give you the shirt off his back. Like, literally, I had a problem with this event I was doing. I did Roadkill Nights for Dodge about 2 weeks ago. And we had a problem at the very last minute with shipping. And Jared, he drove the car. He shipped the car. Well, he towed the car from Atlanta to Detroit throughout the night. Like he drove 12 hours with no sleep just to get my car there, which is insane. Wow. Like that's just nuts. And, I'm on pins and needles thinking like, oh my God, this has been months in planning and in the making. And, he got it there. He got it there and we had no issues and the car did great.
That's awesome. That's just a good friend, man. He's a good person.
Oh yeah. Dude, yeah. He's a good person. Yeah. Good person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool that he did that, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know anybody else that would do that just kind of at the drop of a hat. Like, okay, listen, it has to get done. It's going to suck for me for a night, but it's okay. It's going to be worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he gets to go to this show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was going to go to the show anyway. Like he had tickets. Like I got him in. He had a plane and everything. Like he could have just flown there and had the same experience. But because I needed this and no other option was available, he was like, "I'm just doing this." So he's yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So, Freddie, the shop that we see you working in, do you do other stuff? Is that your shop? What are we looking at there? Because it looks pretty big, pretty neat, pretty clean. Is that all your stuff in the background?
So it's pretty big, but it's not neat or clean. So my shop is a mess constantly. So if you see any pictures with the shop looking clean, that's because I probably cleaned it just for that picture, and I put everything to the side. But yeah, that's my shop. It's just my personal garage. It's 5,200 square feet, and I have way too many cars in there. So much, in fact, that I've had to rent out some space from like across the street. Like they have some parking space and like I put 3 cars in there just so I can have some room to work. But I mean, I always thought that when I got something this big, that I'm never going to be able to fill it up. But like now I'm like, yeah, I need something like twice as big or 3 times as big.
Yeah. You never can have enough shop.
Yeah, and absolutely not, because then I'll get into planes, and then I'll get into big, army trucks and whatever.
Mm-hmm. You're based out of Florida?
I'm near Orlando. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were talking about Paul Sr. being. I think he just moved to Tampa or somewhere on the West Coast.
Yeah, I had a conversation. I don't like to name drop, but I end up doing that like more than I'd like to do. So I had a conversation with Paul Jr. At when I was at Amelia Island, and I know that he's trying to do a bunch of podcast stuff. But I didn't know that Paul Sr. was also in Florida.
Yeah, we had Junior
Well,
on
we had a
probably a month
conversation
ago.
with Paul Jr., so it's okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty talk to him.
Yeah, he was on. I mean, that was a great show. He was a good interview. We covered a lot of
He really
ground, and
was.
he actually was
Yeah.
sincere and got deep into a couple things, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, he's a great dude. Speaking of name dropping, you said something about Colian Noir earlier on. So Colian is. I had a conversation. He called me like probably a month or two ago. He is a really big car guy, so you should have him on the show. Yeah, so he's a big car guy. Yeah. Yeah, he's an awesome dude. Like we should, I'll get it. I mean, just DM him on Instagram or something. But yeah, he's an awesome guy. He loves Aston Martins, and I have two of them. And we're just talking about, because I have a DBS and a V12 Vanquish, and I think he was getting like some new car, and he was like, I don't know, should I get this or this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like I'm trying to give him advice. Like I don't know, but yeah, he's an awesome dude.
John. You know who we need to hook Freddie up with? Ray. Ray.
Yeah, right.
That's who we need to hook him up with. Because Ray knows everybody, and he's an Aston guy. Ray.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he does stuff with Aston Martins. I think I don't know exactly what he does, but then again, nobody knows exactly what Ray does. He might even be on the show, and we don't know it. But it's just I gotta hook you up with Ray. He's out of Canada. He's a Puerto Rican who lives in Canada on the Reds. Go figure that one out.
Nice.
A New York Puerto Rican.
Oh, awesome. So are you guys going to SEMA?
Yeah.
We're not
I'm
sure
not.
yet.
Well, I decided 2 days ago I'm not going to go. I got to call Bruce at Modern Driveline and let him know, because I drive. And I got the email from SEMA saying that, you have to have if you don't have the vaccination, you have to have proof of a test that's no older than 72 hours, I think it was.
Yeah.
And being that I drive, there's no way I can make the time work. And I'm not getting the vaccine. Because quite honestly, it's none of their damn business if I'm vaccinated. It's
right.
It's called HIPAA, So it's just, and like when I actually got the test, when I got sick, I don't know, 6 months ago. Well, it was Christmas. It was around Christmas when I got the Wu-Tang. I went and got the rapid. I went and got the rapid test, and they said, "Oh yeah, you'll have it in 24 hours." Next thing I know, it's 4 days later. So I can't rely on getting it and then knowing that I'm going to have the results by the time I get there, and it's too old. So
I think it's going to be one of those things where it's probably that's going to be unenforceable for 70,000 people. I don't think you do that. Especially if people coming from all over the country. I don't think that's going to happen. But I just got my second shot yesterday, so that's why if I'm a little loopy, I apologize. But like I already had COVID in January. So, I get that. I'm just doing this as a method of like, if I need to travel, I want to make sure that I don't have any hindrances. Plus, if it's an extra layer of protection against 70,000 people who I don't know if they have it or whatever, like I just don't like getting sick. So, that sort of thing. But honestly, I don't know, it's also Las Vegas. So I think in November, they'll be singing a different tune, but these things change so fast.
Yeah, I think it's a SEMA thing. It's not even a Vegas thing. Vegas doesn't require it. SEMA, well, you know how jam-packed that place is. You're elbow to elbow with people walking down those aisles. Yep. So they either have to widen that out, which they can do.
I don't know. They have their like all their displays and everything figured out, and I think it's going to be a lot of people. I think whatever happens, it's still like people are still antsy to get out. And now there's a lot of companies getting in at the last second. So, if it's like half the attendance, that would be, interesting. But I think it might be more attendance than there was last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, I just can't make the time work.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
that's
can't
fine.
do it. But I
Well,
mean,
I'll send you some pictures and
we're all
I'll tell
trying
you
to
how
do
it
it.
is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right now
yeah.
airfare for
We'll make
me
it
is
happen.
650.
Mhm.
So I'm debating whether it's worth the hotel, the airfare. 650 for coach going out there is a little nuts. That itself. And who knows,
Mhm.
like you're saying, with the mask, the vaccine, but I'll buy my ticket now. 60 days, they're telling me you can't get on because of whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah.
Mhm.
Anyhow, the
Yeah.
question I had too is what else is YouTube and what you're doing now the only thing you do, or is there something else you're doing, or is that because you kick out a lot of videos on Facebook? I noticed you're almost on there every day putting something out, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that on Facebook, I actually hired a company that it's hands off for me, but the company just takes my YouTube videos and they put them in a format that makes Facebook videos, kind of more appealing. So they put captions, they put it in the right format, like the right aspect ratio and whatnot, and that's been pretty good for me. I've had some good growth from that. But the YouTube is my only thing right now. It's been my only thing for quite a few years, probably like 4 or 5 years. So not quite a few, but several. And I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, even though I know that the wheels could fall off at any moment. So right now it's just, trying to stay relevant, if that makes any sense, just trying to kind of
Yeah.
up the bar as much as I can every year.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. You got to. Because I mean,
Hmm.
the bottom line is you know this better than I do. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So
Yeah.
you have to get the bar up. You have to. And you got to put out
Yeah.
content every week. I mean, I learned that and I haven't
Mhm.
been able to do it, but I got to get back at it.
So I mean, I've had good luck with not putting out content for a while and then coming back like strong, and I think it has to do with the people that that are watching you, and then it has to do with just the content that it is. If it's something that like if you think about it as it's not a marathon or a sprint, you're also not in the same race. Like so you might be
Right.
going off in a different direction where some other people are, they're going this way, but if you go off in a different direction, you'll find way more success over here, and then everybody kind of does
Mhm.
this and goes towards your direction. So it being
Yeah.
somewhat of a trendsetter helps. Taking chances, that sort of thing helps, but it can also completely destroy you if you spend a lot of time and a lot of money on some project that never pans out.
Mhm.
Listen,
Yeah.
I don't
I
want to
get
go too
that.
far because the reason I asked all these goofy ass questions as to where, who, how, and what
Hmm.
is because I do a lot of work for Horse TV. It's a streaming service for horse people. It's just like
Hmm.
Netflix, but it's for horse people that focuses on horses.
Hmm.
So we had a meeting, we're talking back and forth, and short story long, we're going to do the same exact template, same everything, but for cars.
Hmm.
So when I'm watching your content, I know what you're saying as far as the YouTube and the whole thing, but there's other avenues. I got to
Yeah.
tell you, I'm going to circle back with you once because we're real close to launching this yet.
Sure.
As soon as I do, I'm going to tell you how it works.
Hmm.
Lou and I are going to get together and explain, the payout because I saw, I don't know if the numbers that I saw are accurate,
Hmm.
but what and you're doing well. Don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
I think you could do that same number in probably 2.5 months compared to a year with the streaming
Yeah.
service.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'm always down for that. So if you look at the numbers of like Social Blade, those tend to be off by a bit.
Yeah.
But you also have, for YouTube, AdSense is one part of it, but then you have all the brand deals, like I'm sure you guys have with DEI, and it depends on if it's like per video or if it's like over a year, if it's placement, if it's like direct ad copy, that sort of thing. So I mean, having a YouTube channel is very much just a business. So you have to be your own ad person, and you have to dealing with like the background stuff is like 75% of my job. Making videos and editing them, that's 25%. It's so much like looking at what problems my cars have and then solving those problems and then dealing with sponsors and then dealing with all this
Yeah.
other stuff, like just talking to people, comments and social media. And then after that, I can make a video and then edit it, and then the whole cycle starts over again.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I
What's
mean,
on your
honestly,
yeah.
we don't have a lot with with advertisers. We just don't, because we're both
Mhm.
figuring this out as we go along.
And that's the way that's the way it always is.
Better at it.
That's
yeah.
so
we gotta,
I am always if you guys have like I mean I've been in this for a while, and I always tell people if you're new at this or you have any questions, like I am an open book. I mean, I'd rather not disclose things, kind of publicly, but if you want to have a conversation offline, I will answer any questions with, how to, what's worked for me and what works in the car space and how you can maximize this and whatnot. I've had some success in this, but I'm sure that there's also a lot of things I can learn.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, I understand how the TV end of it works, but this is a whole different thing. And the guy that helped me was Lee, the Monday Morning Racer, and he, with what he did for me was he got me monetized in 18 months. So it's I've had good luck so far. I'm not making tons of money at it, but at least now I'm getting paid. And then when I had to move out of the shop I was in, I called John. I was like, dude, we always talk about doing a podcast. Let's do it now. So we started doing this in February. And it's just been, we're just running through the streets. John tries to rein it in, but I'm just running wild in the streets, man, doing what I do.
Now we have access to a lot of good guests, and Lou and I were on the phone for about an hour and a half one day, and we actually got on a tangent about motorcycle gangs and bikes and builds. And at the end, what we said to each other was, you know what, I think other people would like to hear that because they would never expect that out of us. Yeah. So that's where the whole podcast thing started coming about. But of course, we changed that a little bit.
Yeah, it's always good to have people that are like-minded and have good conversation and good rapport and have history together, that sort of thing. Because anytime I watch a podcast, I want to make sure that I'm accessing information that I wouldn't usually get. And I love being like on a podcast where I'm clearly not the smartest person in the room. So because that's when I learn the most.
Right.
Let's switch gears. I want to know what you're looking for now. You got a list. You're going through it. What builds are you looking for? What's ideal? What's on your bucket list?
So I have been looking for a hypercar. So I've been looking for a Bugatti Veyron, a Chiron, McLaren P1, that sort of thing. There have to be some, like some rapper bought it years ago and then ran it into the ground, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm looking for. I mean, I'd have to really kind of finance everything because that's another thing that I don't do. I've never financed a car. I've never really had a car payment. But this would obviously be something that I would have to finance over a period of time. But that's where I'd like to go. Just something that's very significant in the car world. Not because I think it'll get views, because I think it will, but just because for me, I like the engineering of something that is like the pinnacle of of car engineering. Like the fastest car in the world, or something like that. So that's what I'm after. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get it especially with these sorts of prices. Some of these cars were $600,000, 2 years ago, and now they're like 1.2 million, which is like way more than I can spend. But yeah.
Did you ever hear of Dr. Bugatti?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, he sells all the high-end stuff to all the ballers, all the people that you were just talking about. And he does get stuff in. Our buddy Ed in Louisiana, I got to check on him with all this hurricane stuff, but he's tight with Dr. Bugatti. He may be watching if he has electricity. I don't know. I haven't. Cool. But that may be the guy.
He's in that loop.
Yeah, he may get something that the interior is smoked out of it, or something that just like you're saying.
Yeah, stuff like that. I've gotten to the point where nothing on any car scares me, really. It's just, they're all cars. They're just nuts and bolts. The parts, if you can't find them, it's possible to make them. And there's ways to go around things. You can fix things in most cases. Now, if it's like wadded up, if it looks like a crumpled piece of paper, then that's probably an issue. That's going to be like an unfixable situation. But if it's just neglected, I don't have an issue with it. If it's missing parts or something, that's good.
So what else is on the list?
Posted in the comments that there's a bunch of them in Dubai left to rot.
so yes and no. I mean, that's like the urban legend, right? So you go to Dubai and there's all these supercars just left in the desert. The fact is, a lot of those cars those are usually in body shops and stuff, and they leave them outside. And what happens in Dubai is there's sandstorms all the time. So Sandstorm rolls through, and then you have these cars that like, oh my God, these cars they've been here for months. Like, no, actually, they just parked that yesterday. So, I'm sure that there are, some cars that are like expats left them there, and then they were avoiding taxes or the Johnny Law or whatever. I think those are like, I don't think you can buy those. And I wouldn't even want to try. I mean, I do have some connections over there, and I'm going through, I'm trying to find some rare cars, but it's a lot harder than you think. But to answer your question, like what next is on the list, I'll give you like a few cars that I have right now, just so you understand like what I'm about. So I have a 1975 Bricklin SV1. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, it's a crazy Gullwing car. I have a 2021 Hellcat. I have 2003 Lamborghini Murcielagos, Lamborghini Gallardo, 2 Astons. I have 2 Toyota Supras. I'm about to get an RX-7. I have a SL55 Mercedes. I have an S65 Mercedes. I have Matt Farah's old million-mile Lexus. It's a Lexus LS400 with 1 million miles on it. I have a 09 Ferrari 430 Scuderia. And like I have a bunch of other stuff. I have a Lotus and a Lexus SE300 that I'm putting an ISF motor into, just to make it like a really cool cruiser. I have a Ferrari F355 that I'm putting a 3-rotor Mazda rotary engine in, just for fun. So there's a lot, and I can go in my garage and I can pick any one of these. And usually what happens is I go in my garage and I just see all these cars and I just get like, I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. This is way too much.
So no 70 Chevelles or anything that's old school muscle. You're into later.
So I am not a muscle car guy, and like the closest I got is the 2021 Charger. Like I never understood the appeal of muscle cars. Now I do a little bit more because I raced on Woodward Ave. But I was never a muscle car guy, and I get the style, I get the rumble, I get all that stuff. But maybe it's like a nostalgia factor for me. But one thing I would really like to do is like a 59 Cadillac.
That's the king.
Yeah, like that. But those are like unobtainium now. I think a really good one is like 130 or something. It's crazy.
Yeah,
they were really up there and they came down.
You could find one.
Yeah,
you could find one, but it's going to be rough. If to get a cheap one. Really,
and that is a lot of sheet metal. I mean, just square footage. It's so much.
Yeah, but that's badass, and everybody knows what that is. That's like, if somebody asks you, what is that? They're not a car guy, or they're from another planet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it has amazing presence. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the king of Cadillacs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shags into those, as you saw at the intro. We talked about that. I had a 60 when I was a kid. I was 20 years old when I got a 60 convertible. But it was it was pretty cool. So the fake me out Bugatti you have. Tell us. I don't know if did you send a picture over of that? You did.
Yeah, I think so. It's like this. So I had a Bugatti Veyron replica. It's not a replica. It's barely a kit car. So I bought this because I saw this on Facebook Marketplace and I thought, this is the ugliest car I've ever seen, and I need to make a video. So it was started life as a 92 Honda Civic, which is like the pinnacle of automotive engineering. And then we went from there and like we fixed it up a little bit. I mean, it had like a crappy turbo kit on it. It ran like absolute garbage. And Jared and we took it to Cletus McFarland's Freedom Factory. He has a racetrack out here in Florida, and ended up putting like some big 35-inch tires, some wheels and tires from a Hummer H2 with like 2 feet of spacers on each wheel. And we tried to go down the track. I mean, it went like 20 miles an hour with the sidewalls rubbing against the sides of the car. It was insane. But I mean, that car was just the worst car you've ever seen. And it's interesting because when I went to Roadkill Nights, they introduced me as like, oh, well, you're in the supercar world. You had a fake Bugatti, didn't you? I'm like, that was a joke. Like, that's not like what I do. And another thing, I had James May. Yeah, I had James May of Top Gear. Like, he did a video where he's like roasting YouTubers' cars, and then he roasted my fake Bugatti, acting like I'm like, oh, he's very proud of himself, isn't he? I'm like, no, it was complete. Yeah. I was being satirical. Like, I'm just being sarcastic. I don't actually think this car is good.
Yeah. And everybody thinks you're all proud of it, standing back. Check out my Bugatti. When you're clowning.
Absolutely. I mean, like, there's nobody on the face of the planet that can think that that car is anywhere near a Bugatti in any sort of quality. I mean,
Yeah.
not even like maybe the color. I guess the fact that they have four wheels is that's it. But like that thing looked like so bad.
Yeah, but maybe Ken didn't load that up. But yeah, he probably should have. Maybe he didn't know what he was looking at when he was checking it up. But I thought that same thing. I'm looking and going, he can't be serious. Can't even steer that thing. Where are you going? But
you could a little bit. You could steer it a little bit.
Yeah.
There it is.
See,
again.
he's got my
There you go.
my Tuttle picture up.
Look at that wonderful face.
Yeah. So, Freddie, you don't actually sell or flip anything. You tuck them away. They're put on the bed pack rack and in your shop.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I realize that first, I'm not a car salesman. And I have this thing where if somebody buys a car from me, I have to make it the best car. It either has to be so bad that everything is disclosed. Like I haven't started the project yet. So if it's like, I sometimes sell projects that I haven't started and I just tell them everything that's wrong with it. And then I sell it for whatever I got it for, or even less. Or it has to be like the best of my ability. Like I'm selling this S600 and I want to make sure that everything was gone through, like everything you could potentially have go wrong in the next, let's say 12 to 24 months has been taken care of, coil packs and spark plugs and all that stuff. Because the last thing I want is for somebody to go, I just bought Tavarish's car and it is a pile of crap. Look at everything wrong with it. Like this guy doesn't know anything. Because that can absolutely happen. And even though that can still happen with cars that I sell, like it's a lot less if you document everything and you go, here's exactly what everything is. Like I got that car a PPI like from a different shop, just so it's not like, hey, it's not just me saying that this car is good. This other shop says everything passed,
Right.
Yeah. I feel that same way. That you got to tell them what you know, because if you try to hide something and get over on somebody, and people may step up and pay a couple extra dollars knowing it's yours. Thinking,
maybe. I mean, I'd rather not do that because then you're putting like a monetary value on the fact that you touch something. Like I am not that guy. I'm not the guy that you're talking about putting my face on some tape. I'm like, dude, you have no idea the anxiety that would give me. Like I'm just some guy, and it's weird, going to a place like SEMA where if I make a video and 300,000 people watch it or whatever, that's just a number to me because I'm just a guy in a garage, holding a camera. But that number becomes real when I go to a place like that. And then you have to interact with those people and you realize that those people each have their own stories and they have their ways of interacting with you. And it's such an intimate thing. I mean, some people, they fall asleep watching me, which is so weird to me. Like just there are people right now in the world that are watching my video and dozing off. That is completely weird. Like, cause I'm just some guy making videos on the internet.
Yeah. They feel like they know you and, want to talk to you about their experience in life. Yeah. I got you.
I compare that to a girlfriend with amnesia. So they know everything about you, but you know nothing about them. So and every time it's like, hey, remember the time you did this? And I'm like, yeah. So, tell me about yourself. What do you like? What kind of cars are you into? Because then you're in their world and they can tell you about you. Because I don't want to hear about myself. I know I was there, so.
So what do you got coming down the road as far as what's the plans on YouTube? Anything new you want to promote, push, and Car Trek?
Yeah. So Car Trek, the Series 5 episode 1 is coming out on next Monday. That's the 6th. So that's probably the only thing I want to push. My channel is fine. I hope people watch it and stuff. But Car Trek, I'm really proud of, and I think we did a really good job. It's my favorite one so far.
That looks good.
So it's the premise is we buy we have our ultimate dream cars, and we do this do a series of challenges, and then we have to buy our first cars. So I have a Nissan Maxima. Ed Bullion has an Audi S4. That's they're the most unreliable cars in the world. And Tyler has a Mercedes 300 TD, which is probably the slowest car in the world. So we have a lot of adventures with those, and I really like the way it turned out.
That's cool.
So do you have any other spinoffs as far as productions, or is you got any other ideas in the works or working with anybody or anything like that?
I mean, like I'm always down to work with people. I think, I mean, I have a lot of videos backlogged for the end of the year because that's when views tend to get a little better, and also rates for ads tend to get a little better as well. So I have a bunch of builds that I haven't released. I think that people are gonna like, and I don't have anything as far as like shows, but I'm always talking to different companies and producers that want to do things. Yeah, it's just that, and also the Wrench Everyday channel, which Jared and I do, and then we're going to be doing some interesting projects on there as well. So I think that's probably enough. I mean, I don't need to be everywhere at all the time.
Yeah.
Jared was a good dude. I mean, you could tell he's a real genuine guy.
He's the best. Guy. Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
So, Lou, what you got?
And you don't want to get to the point where you're overwhelmed. You know what I mean? Because then you're not.
It sounds like he's close as it is. I mean, that's
that's probably a year ago. That's probably a year ago. I've just been riding that, just riding that high. I'm at a constant, falling apart all the time. But listen, I'm making YouTube videos. It's better than coal mining. And like, I have a garage full of really cool cars that, I lusted after when I was a kid. So life can get a lot worse. Like it's the same thing. It's just, first world problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it
I'm
too.
with you.
You got to step back sometimes and appreciate what you got going on.
Absolutely.
People out there got a whole lot worse happening day to day.
Yep.
So we're a quarter after. Lou, what do you want to do? You got questions or what?
We're gonna have to bail, man, because Ken's old and he did recover from the Wu-Tang. So
he sounds a lot better. I mean, last week he just got Freddie. He just got out of the hospital with COVID.
Oh wow!
And he was in there for how many? I think it was over a week or close to a week. It was kicking the shit out of him. It sounded like it was.
Wow.
He sounds a lot better. Yeah. We were.
I know Lucky Costa just got out of the hospital. Lucky from Hot Rod Garage, and they let him out with a like an oxygen machine. So he just took one home. But I mean, that's like it's really beating a lot of people up. So it's
how
crazy.
How did you feel when you had it in January? How'd you feel? What happened?
Not great. It wasn't a good experience. I think so. I didn't have like the regular symptoms. I had a lot of fatigue and I had a lot of brain fog. So there would be things that like I would deliberately tell myself to remember, and then every single time without fail, I would forget them. So I was worried that I'm like, oh crap, I'm like actually losing my mind. Because it was January and like, CPM and rates and stuff like for ads, they're usually in the toilet. So I didn't put out a lot of stuff there, but it was just like, I can't make any videos. I can't think straight. And I just couldn't get out of bed. So it was just really, really tiring. My wife actually had some respiratory issues. Like she didn't have any cough, but she couldn't take a deep breath. Like she had like a stunted breath. So that was like she had. We it's not an oxygen machine, but it's just like a little nose mask thing that pumps oxygen into your nose, and that apparently helped a little bit. But we got over it, and it took a while. It took a while, and I still had persistent symptoms for a good like 2 months after that, just like off and on. Every once in a while, I would just get like crazy fatigue and brain fog. Like I couldn't figure out where. I wasn't confused as where I was. It's just like I don't know what I was doing, and that scared me a little bit. But now I'm fine.
Yeah. How did the first shot feel? Because I know with the email you said maybe you would be sick today with today's show.
Yeah. So the first shot was fine. First shot, it was just you get a little sore on the arm, but the second shot is what I got yesterday, and now I feel a little bit sore. And I had a little bit of fatigue. It was getting better yesterday, but then it got a little worse today. But now I'm fine. I mean, it's better than having COVID and going to the hospital or whatever. So, I'm hedging my bets there, but there's no free lunch. You always have to give something up. So I just feel like, I'm going to do it. My wife will get it too. But we have to kind of schedule it out because, we also have a 1-year-old. So, if I'm away, she can't get the second shot because that's going to take her out. And then, we don't have anybody else to babysit. So it's just one of those juggling acts,
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
It's a
1-year-old.
It's a mystery. It really is a mystery as to where, how, and who, and it's weird that it affects different people,
Mhm.
everybody differently. I sent it to Lou. I don't know if you saw, but Joe Rogan announced it today that he caught it 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw, but he pretty much said he did everything possible under the sun, took everything under the sun,
Yeah.
and kicked it in 3 days. And I'm like, you got Joe Rogan money. Yeah, you probably could have 6 doctors working on one end or the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, he's in like peak physical condition as well. And I think that
Right.
was his whole thing. That if you're in better shape, then it tends to, if your immune system is stronger, then obviously it has more resources to fight off infection. But then again, it's different for different people. So, sometimes the viral load can hit you differently. And I don't know. I know that he has, if you have $100 million, these things probably go away on their own.
Yeah, you got the doctor's home number, and he's
Mhm.
probably coming to your house when you're Joe Rogan. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he is in good shape and takes a lot of supplements and does his thing. The
Yeah.
way he made it, I mean, he did say that he was fortunate and able to kick its ass.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
he ran through a whole list of things that he did. I'm like, hold on, slow down. Hold on. I'm trying to,
Mhm.
but because you never
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you even take that much stuff in 3 days, to be honest, when he ran through the list. Lou, check out the video that I sent. I sent it to you on
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I saw it, but I
Instagram.
didn't watch it yet. Yeah.
Yeah, he did monoclonal antibody treatment, and then all this. He took that ivermectin or something, which is the horse dewormer thing that has been in the news for being like not good.
Questionable. Yeah.
So I listen. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not prepared to say anything on COVID. But if you like throw everything at it, seems like it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the people are going to cover him. You're going to hear about this for 3 days. Joe Rogan said, Joe Rogan did, Joe Rogan.
Yeah. But I mean, he's an MMA commentator and a comedian with a podcast. Who cares?
Right.
Like
Right.
who,
Right.
What does this matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's all right. I kicked the Wu-Tang's ass in 2 days. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, different people have different results. And, I had a family friend die of it, but he's also, he had issues with his weight. He had, respiratory, he had asthma and stuff. He was an older guy too. So it can, for people that are in that class of people like that are like super susceptible to anything really taking them out, it can be super scary.
Oh yeah.
I think that's more than half the people in the United States.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Because, the one thing, when you look at those videos of Afghanistan, there's no fat people there. Did you see that? They're all built the same. They're all slim, and people go, oh, there's no restaurants. Listen, they're not starving, but they don't look like the Americans do, which makes you wonder. I mean, if there was a fist fight, who's going to win?
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, they look like they're, pretty healthy guys.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, even if you go to like Europe, the average weight of a European versus the average weight of American. What's weird is that if you go to Australia, Australia is more like America. They're actually getting a little fatter there too. But listen, I can't talk. I'm overweight. Okay, so I love cheeseburger, dude. Wings are my jam. Like I love it. So I'm not over here saying, well, you need to straighten up and fly right. Like I just had a pretty good, meal. So I'm not,
No, I had a cheeseburger today too, Five Guys, and actually it was horrible for the first time. It was horrible. I got to tell you, I was ready to call the number. It was so bad. And Five Guys is usually kick-ass where you're like, oh, this is well worth it. I got done eating that thing. I was like, this is not worth it. This was the worst experience of my life, and I couldn't figure it. Hamburger was small.
How do you screw up a burger? Like it's
soda
really
was
simple.
flat. Everything that they did there was horrible. And I don't know what was going on, but it was almost bad enough for me to send them a message going, you guys are, every place I've been, Florida, whatever, at Five Guys, you can count on it being greasy and good. This place, it was bad. What, Lou? Why are you laughing?
When you come here, I'll take you to Lee's.
Is it a cheeseburger?
Good burger.
You get a triple cheeseburger?
Yeah. We'll go there.
We'll all have heart attacks
Everybody
together. Let's do it.
Take them to Lee's. That's where I take them.
Sounds good. I can go for a good cheeseburger. I drank last night to Manhattan, so I needed something to fill my stomach. It was burning. I only had 2. I'm getting old, kicking the shit. I'm thinking, oh my God, two martinis, and I felt like I got run over. I was like, what the? So that's why I went into Five Guys. You can see my eyes are still bloodshot.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
still
good
beat
decision
up.
upon good decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. John's
Tomorrow will
loaded
be
with
good.
decisions.
Tomorrow
Well,
will
look,
be
guys, let's run. Ken, like I said, it's 25 after. Let's get
Oh, yeah.
let's let Ken go home so we can make this happen. All right. I think that'd be the best thing for everybody.
Next week.
All right,
Next
you
week,
guys. Freddie, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
This
we
was
appreciate
great. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, hey, we try. So, John, there you have it. We
Yeah.
had Freddie.
Yeah.
We had
He's a good
Freddie.
dude.
You know, we're
There's
good
a lot
to
of
go.
interesting
We're
cars
moving
that
on.
he's put together. A lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
I'll bet you could probably spend a day taking them out and running them around his place, testing them all out. Sounds like a lot of
I
different
promised you
flavors.
he's a full-time parts guy. With all the stuff
Yeah.
he's doing, you know he needs a full-time parts guy because he's got a lot of shit going on. He really
Yeah.
does.
And the parts he's looking at are probably the biggest. They're expensive. They're not cheap shit. I saw he got a roof for that
it
McLaren
is.
the other day. It is, heavy
Yeah.
paper. That's good
Yeah.
though. It's pretty cool. Who wouldn't want to be
Hey,
on a
no.
Lambo?
Somebody's got to do it. That's how I look at it. It's not what I'm into, but somebody's got to do it. And that's what makes the car world so damn cool. You know, that's the thing, man. Just because you
Next
don't like them doesn't mean that someone else doesn't like them. You know,
next week we got Eddie Munster, which is going to be pretty cool because it's a throwback. Ken was throwing me some background on Eddie that I didn't know. Butch Patrick. But like I said, he's doing his show Dead Man's Curve this weekend if it doesn't downpour. It's supposed to clear up, but it's northern New Jersey. And I'm going to take the run up, I think, on Friday. Talk to him, check out the
they're
show.
supposed to be getting the rain that we had here probably tomorrow.
I got it tonight. I thought my power was going to go out. It was pretty bad. I don't know if you could hear it, but it was coming down hard. And usually I lose my power.
Yeah.
Paul Tuttle Jr. is going to be in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, this Saturday. So you guys want to check that out and say hello to him, but it's a show in Pottstown, which is pretty cool. That's probably about 35 or 40 minutes from me.
Yeah.
But I'd run up there, but that's the same day as the wedding. So can't do it.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
Not either way. Yeah. But that's it for me. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right. Well, then, by God, let's shut this bad boy down. Hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. And remember, if you want to get with us, it's the number 3 lefts don't at gmail.com. Send us suggestions. You can try and beat us up if you want, whatever you want to do. Just try to keep it between the lines. Freddie, thanks for coming on. Next week, as John said, we got Butch Patrick. So until then, John, say goodnight.
Good night. Later. Thanks, guys.
Later.